231424 FY People versus Sarah Ann Jones. Ms. Jones was charged with possession of methamphetamine as a second offender. She had a previous methamphetamine charge in 2020 and filed 201215. She entered a plea. Let me get back into your case. On September 19th to a use of methamphetamine. Prosecutor recommended no upfront jail. She indicated that there was an abuse and neglect case and she had gone to the Gilmore Center. She also had a case that was set for Judge Pattison on 10/25, but you actually have 3 drugged driving charges. We tried to sort these out, one from May 11th, one from May 12th, and one from May 25th, where you were quite debilitated by duster spray. You also have unpaid fines and costs in multiple other cases. File 183743 is a retail fraud charge. Where you were on a payment plan and stopped making payments sometime in 2020. File 192767 is a retail fraud charge where you're on a payment plan and I don't think ever made a payment. On the underlying methamphetamine charge from 2020, you were discharged from probation, put on a payment plan, and didn't make a payment. Then, as I indicated, you have three drugged driving cases from the month of May. And this case is from the month of May. At the time of the plea, Mr. Marvin's recommendation was no upfront jail. And he was aware of at least one of the other drug driving charges, but now you have 3 of them.
I turned myself in, and then a week later, I found out that they brought one back from May 2.
Well, they had to wait for the laboratory results. We looked them up. They were at 3 different locations. And
I submitted to, I let them take me to the hospital and draw my blood. And
yeah, and it had fluoroxafine or whatever the ingredient is in duster spray. And so it takes a while for that to come back. And Deborah Davis has joined us from the prosecutor's office, which I greatly appreciate. You have to also see Judge Pattison in some of those other cases. Deborah, this case was a recommendation for no upfront jail time, but I don't really want to do a probation on this charge. She completed a probation previously. She didn't pay the fines. And now she has fines unpaid in 2 other cases, and she has 3 drugged driving charges pending. What I don't know, which is why I'm glad you're here, is how she'd been doing in her abuse neglect cases, whether she'd been testing. I know she had gone to Gilmore. And then when I came in about 10 after 7 this morning, and she wasn't on the jail roster. Then a little later, I learned that she was on it, that she had turned herself in.
I left work and came to take care of it all. I didn't mean to miss court last week. The ride I had didn't show up, and I called, and I have a job. I'm working at Viking, and I love it. It's gotten a vehicle now, so I can rely on myself to get to my testing. I don't need nobody else going into my own home like I'm trying.
All right. Deborah, do you have any input on this case?
Well, it's a bit complicated. Lori Hines just sent me a text saying that she heard that Ms. Jones had been turned herself in or picked up, whatever. She was supposed to be here last Wednesday for her jury trial, which was going to be a plea to kind of a global offer in all of those OUID cases. But I don't know how she's doing in her abuse neglect case. I just sent a message to Chief Assistant Robert to see if he's got any input. But last I knew from Ms. Hines, she wasn't keeping in great contact with Ms. Hines. I don't know what she's been doing. And that's kind of the unknown that we have is she wasn't preparing for her trial. I don't know what she's been up to. And actually, I just got a note from Mr. Robert. He filed a termination petition in August, and the trial is coming up soon. So she's not doing well in her abuse neglect case.
Mr. Bush, what would you like? And in your credit, you got like 1 second notice that she'd been turned herself in.
I think Attorney Knapsinger represents her in the abuse and neglect case.
Yes, he does.
Last I knew, she was going to the day report center 3 times a week, and they'd all been negative since she returned from Gilmore. I mean, those are the notes that I have from my client back in early September.
Well, the day reporting center has problems testing for huffing ingredients. It's very difficult to detect. You can't do it with a PBT or the normal urine tests. So I don't know what she's been doing. So Sarah, what have you been doing?
I've gotten a job, I'm working, that's 3 requirements I need is the job, house, and car, and I've finally landed them all, and I have had to rely on rides, and it doesn't help me none. I haven't been doing Duster. I understand that was a problem, but I'm trying, and now it's all just.
It is. Well, this is your second methamphetamine case, and on May 5th, the car was full of Duster cans. You got arrested on Big Hill Road.
I was never arrested.
And that's part of the problem. Is this, you were on a tear in May. This was May 5th. A possession of a small amount of methamphetamine and a car full of Duster spray. You got arrested or ticketed on May 11th. The very next day on May 12th, you got ticketed again for OUID. And then you were quite disoriented on May 25th. So they sent the stuff to the crime lab. And so you have 3 OUID cases, plus all this other unpaid stuff.
Your Honor,
And yes.
Also, there may be somebody from CPS trying to join this hearing, Sue Pennock.
Well, I've got Justin's phone, but I don't know who it is.
Okay. Jordan Yancey is involved with this, the abuse neglect case, and she let Sue Pennock know that there was a sentencing today. It's the CPS supervisor she was going to try and get on. And I also did receive note from Mr. Robert that she has not been testing often, and she was positive for methamphetamine in July. So that would have been after these huffing and driving incidents and the possession of the methamphetamine in May. She then tested positive for methamphetamine in July.
Sarah, I don't know what to say. I've got this case, but And Mr. Marvin went into this with his eyes open. He made a recommendation of no upfront jail. But then other things have transpired since then. This was in September. Lori Hines is here. Thank you for that, Lori, who's representing you in some of the other cases. Abuse neglect cases.
No, her other three criminal, well,
Okay.
actually, two of the criminal matters.
Yes.
She hasn't been arraigned on the third one. But Debbie Davis had given us a global offer to settle.
Yes.
Perhaps the best option today is if she could do that, and maybe we could settle.
Well, I set this for after her jury trial. She didn't show up on Wednesday, and much to everybody's chagrin. So fortunately, Lori and Judge Pattison and Deborah Davis were, communicating, and they called the jurors off because Sarah had done such a poor job of staying in contact with everybody. Sarah, you're gonna go to jail for a while before all this is done. You don't get 5 free passes. I don't know what it's gonna be. The recommendation was no upfront jail.
Can I please have the probation center so I can keep my job? Keep track.
I can't answer that. Excuse me. You submit that ketamine judgment. When did you get out of Gilmore?
Oh, I turned myself in right when I got out.
Why didn't you show up for your jury trial last Wednesday?
Right, didn't show up.
Well, why didn't you?
I called.
Called who?
immediately, the courthouse, and
Did you ever talk to your lawyer about the fact that, hey, you have a jury trial tomorrow?
I wasn't aware that it was a jury trial. I was told it wasn't a jury trial, that it wouldn't make it to jury trial. And I called and I spoke to 2 ladies here. I was trying, I should have just walked. I was already late by waiting on somebody. Thank you. I had every intention on coming to court. I had just talked to Lori the day before, and both of the times. When I had to go to Florida when my son drowned, I had called her and let her know on the way that,
I did hear about this.
yeah, my son drowned
And when?
in the care of these people
Where?
in Florida when they took him out of state without my permission
When?
in July.
That's completely outside my realm of knowledge, and I'm sorry. So your son was in foster care, and
Yeah, but I did great for 8 months, and I just
all
I'm
right.
trying to do what I can do.
Looking at my notes, based upon what she told me when I first met her, I think she was in Gilmore Center for 2 weeks in mid to late August of 2023, if that helps.
I think she was there from 8/10 to 8/24.
I came in and I turned myself in that following Monday.
And
And then I got out.
that was on 8/28. Well, you got other problems. 2 days credit, 2 days. You got a pattern of not paying your fines and costs. I'm not putting you on a probation in this case. There's no sense of it.
I haven't had a reliable job till this one.
But when I talked to you before, you were applying for a job at American Axle.
Yeah, I went through the whole process. I had everything. I don't know. They were going on strike last I knew.
Yeah, the timing wasn't great. I don't know how you were gonna get back at fourth either,
Yeah,
but
I'm working at Viking and I love my job, and I told them this morning when I went in, I let them know everything, and they said I have a job when they come out.
all right, well, you can tell that to Judge Pattison. $125 or 2 additional days. I'm not gonna chase you for money anymore. I did payment plans. One problem with duster spray is it permanently damages your brain, makes you dumber, it lowers your IQ, and your cognitive capacity is diminished after extended use of it. You seem better today, but you've got lots of problems in your other cases. And I'm very sorry. I did not know your son had drowned. And I'm not sure anything about it. It has anything to do with this, but the deal was no upfront jail, presuming there'd be a probation, but I don't want a probation. And I don't want you to withdraw your plea in this matter. I'm gonna order 2 days credit, 2 days, $125 fine, or 2 other days, which will get swallowed up by what else you're gonna do. But you've got 3 cases of that pending, possibly more. So they're waiting for you next door. Lori, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck, Sarah. You
Judge
got-
Pattison is aware she's here.
Yes, he and I talked this morning about 9:30.
All right, I'll just go next door then. You gonna bring her around?
Yeah,
Debbie, I'm waiting for Taylor Combs. And she's gonna be in the court next